I still remember the exact words she used. "Oh God, Emma, you look like you got dressed at a thrift store dumpster. Please stand in the back during photos." My sister Lindsay said this to me in front of 20 people, at her wedding. Her perfect ivory tower wedding where everything cost more than my rent. I was 24 years old, standing in the bridal suite wearing the only formal dress I owned. A simple navy blue dress I'd bought on sale 2 years ago. It was clean. It was pressed. It was all I could afford after spending my entire savings on the bridesmaid expenses she'd insisted on. The other bridesmaids went silent. One of them, Jessica, looked at her champagne glass like it was suddenly the most interesting thing in the world. Another Kayla actually smirked. Lindsay didn't even lower her voice. She wanted everyone to hear. "I mean, I gave you 3 months to find something decent," she continued, adjusting her $1,000 veil in the mirror. "But I guess some people just don't understand what upscale wedding means." My throat felt tight. My hands were shaking. I wanted to say something, anything, but the words stuck like glass in my chest. This wasn't the sister I grew up with. Or maybe it was, and I'd just been too blind to see it. "Lindsay, it's fine," I managed to whisper. "I'll stay out of the main photos." She turned to face me fully, her perfect makeup catching the light. "Actually, Emma, we need to talk about something else too." She pulled out her phone, scrolled for a second, then showed me a spreadsheet. "You still owe me $2,000. I blinked. "What?" "The bridesmaid expenses. Hair, makeup, the dress I picked out for you, the bachelorette weekend, the bridal shower you helped host. It's all here, itemized." Her smile was razor sharp. "I need it before the reception starts." The room started spinning. $2,000. Money I didn't have. Money I'd never agreed to spend. Money she'd racked up on my credit card when I'd let her use it just for the deposit on the hotel rooms. "Lindsay, I don't have that kind of money right now. You said you'd pay me back for— pay you back." She laughed, and it sounded like breaking glass. "Emma, you were supposed to cover your share. That's what bridesmaids do. Don't be so naive." Her maid of honor, Rachel, finally spoke up. "Lindsay, maybe now isn't the time." "No, Rachel, it is the time." Lindsay's voice dropped to something cold and surgical. "Emma has always been like this. Always playing the victim. Always broke. Always making everything about her struggles." I felt tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of these people who were watching me like I was dinner theater. "I'll figure it out," I said quietly. "You better." Lindsay turned back to the mirror, dismissing me entirely. "Or I'm taking you to small claims court. I have everything documented." That's when I should have left. That's when I should have walked out of that bridal suite, out of that venue, out of her life entirely. But I didn't. Because in that moment, standing there in my cheap dress with my heart hammering against my ribs, something inside me shifted. I thought about every time Lindsay had made me feel small. Every comparison. Every casual cruelty dressed up as sisterly advice. Every time she'd borrowed money and never paid it back. Every time Mom had said, "Just let it go, Emma. You know how Lindsay is." I looked at my sister in her designer wedding dress, surrounded by bridesmaids who enabled her, about to marry a man who probably had no idea who she really was, and I smiled. "You're right, Lindsay," I said softly. "I'll make sure you get everything you deserve today." She barely glanced at me. "Good, now go fix your hair. You look homeless." I walked out of that bridal suite with my head high and my phone already opening to a very specific contact, because my sister had no idea what was about to hit her. And her perfect wedding? It was about to become unforgettable. The ceremony was flawless. Painfully, insultingly flawless. I stood in the back row of bridesmaids, exactly where Lindsay had positioned me. Far enough from the cameras. Hidden behind Rachel and 2 other girls whose dresses probably cost more than my car payment. The venue was stunning. A historic mansion with marble columns and crystal chandeliers that caught the afternoon light like frozen stars. White roses everywhere. A string quartet playing something classical and expensive sounding. Lindsay floated down the aisle like she'd been preparing for this moment her entire life. Which honestly she had. Our mother cried. Our father beamed. Her groom, Marcus, looked at her like she'd hung the moon. Nobody looked at me. I was the shadow sister, the budget sister, the one who didn't quite fit into the aesthetic of Lindsay's carefully curated life. During the vows, I felt my phone buzz in the small clutch I'd hidden under my bouquet. I didn't check it, not yet, but I knew what it was. Confirmation. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Everyone erupted into applause. Lindsay and Marcus kissed like they were on a movie poster. The photographer captured every angle. The videographer zoomed in for the tears of joy. I clapped along with everyone else, my smile perfectly pleasant, my heart beating a rhythm that felt like countdown. At the reception, I was seated at table 9, not the family table. Not even close to the family table. I was with some distant cousins I'd met once at a funeral, and a couple who seemed confused about why they were there at all. So you're the bride's sister? The woman Carol asked politely. Unfortunately, I said, then caught myself. I mean, yes. Her younger sister. Oh, how nice. You two must be so close. I took a long sip of water. Something like that. Lindsay and Marcus made their grand entrance to thunderous applause. Their first dance was choreographed, naturally, because nothing about this wedding could be spontaneous or real. I watched from my distant table as my sister lived her fantasy. Then the speeches started. Our father went first, talked about Lindsay's achievements, her beauty, her grace, mentioned me once in passing, and of course her sister Emma is here too. Like an afterthought. Like a footnote in Lindsay's story. Rachel gave a maid of honor speech full of inside jokes and Instagram-worthy moments. The groomsmen told embarrassing stories about Marcus. Everyone laughed on cue. Then Lindsay herself took the microphone. I just want to thank everyone for being here on the most important day of my life, she began, her voice sweet as arsenic. Especially my family who have supported me through everything. She looked directly at our parents, not at me. And I want to give a special shout out to my bridesmaids who have been absolutely incredible throughout this entire process. You girls made everything perfect. She named each one. Rachel, Jessica, Kayla, 2 others whose names I barely remembered. She didn't say my name. The omission hung in the air like smoke. A few people glanced my way. My mother looked uncomfortable. My father studied his champagne glass. Lindsay continued, oblivious or intentional. I couldn't tell which was worse. Planning a wedding really shows you who your real friends are. The people who show up, who go above and beyond, who understand what it means to celebrate love properly. That's when my phone buzzed again. I pulled it out under the table. Read the message. Felt a smile tug at my lips. Everything was ready. Lindsay was still talking, something about gratitude and new beginnings, when the lights suddenly dimmed. The AV system crackled to life. The giant projection screen behind the head table, the one they'd used for the slideshow during dinner, flickered on. Lindsay stopped mid-sentence. What? And then my face appeared on the screen, 15 feet tall, crystal clear. Hi, everyone, my recorded voice said cheerfully. Sorry to interrupt, but I have a little surprise for the bride. The room went completely silent. Lindsay's face drained of color. Emma, what are you... You see, my recorded self continued, my sister Lindsay asked me to pay her $2,000 today for bridesmaid expenses. And I thought, you know what? Everyone should know exactly what those expenses were for. The screen changed, showed the itemized list Lindsay had shown me. But with my additions, designer bridesmaid dress Lindsay picked out, $450. Note, she returned it and kept the money. Bachelorette weekend in Miami, 8 and 90s. Note, I wasn't invited but had to pay anyway. Hair and makeup trial, $200. Note, Lindsay used my appointment for herself. Bridal shower catering, $460. Note, Lindsay ordered premium while telling me to order budget. The room erupted in whispers. Emma, turn that off right now. Lindsay screamed, her perfect composure shattering like dropped china. But I wasn't done. Not even close. That's not even the best part. My recorded voice continued from the speakers, calm and almost cheerful. Lindsay lunged toward the AV booth, but Marcus grabbed her arm. Lindsay, what is she talking about? It's lies. All lies. Lindsay's voice cracked with panic. The screen changed again, this time showing text messages. Our text messages, blown up for everyone to read. Lindsay, Emma, I need you to put the hotel deposit on your card. Just $300. I'll Venmo you tomorrow. That was from 4 months ago. No Venmo ever came. Lindsay, can you cover the flowers for the bridal shower? Mom said you volunteered. It's only $400. I never volunteered. Mom never said that. Lindsay, the makeup artist needs payment up front. Use your card. I'm handling so much other stuff. More messages scrolled. Dozens of them. Each one showing a pattern that was suddenly horrifyingly clear to everyone in that room. My mother gasped. Actually gasped. Lindsay Marie, is this true? Mom, she's twisting everything. She's ruining my wedding because she's jealous. The screen changed again. Now it showed a video. Security footage from the bridal boutique, dated 3 weeks ago. Lindsay, clear as day, returning the bridesmaid dress she'd forced me to buy. The timestamp showed her pocketing $450 in cash. Oh my God, someone whispered behind me. Marcus's face had gone from confused to stone cold. Lindsay, you told me Emma refused to buy a dress? You said she was being difficult. That's not, Marcus, let me explain. But my recorded voice cut through again. Now I know what you're all thinking. Maybe Emma's just bitter? Maybe she's making a scene because she's the struggling little sister who can't keep up with Lindsay's fabulous life. I paused on the recording, and I could see my own face on that screen. Younger me from just this morning. Filming this in my car before the ceremony, looking directly into the camera. So let me show you something else. The screen split into 4 sections. 4 different videos, all playing simultaneously. Top left. Lindsay at her bachelorette party, drunk, laughing as she told her friends. Emma's such a loser. 24 and still working retail. I invited her to be a bridesmaid just so Mom wouldn't give me shit about it. Top right. Lindsay in our mother's kitchen 2 months ago, telling Mom, Emma's just going through a phase. She'll grow out of being poor eventually. Or she won't. Either way, not my problem. Bottom left, Lindsay on a phone call I'd accidentally overheard and recorded, telling someone, my sister's the perfect example of what happens when you don't apply yourself. I love her, but God, she's embarrassing. Bottom right, Lindsay just yesterday in a voice memo to Rachel saying, I'm charging Emma for everything. She owes me for years of making our family look bad. This is my revenge wedding tax. The entire room exploded. People were shouting, gasping. My mother looked like she might faint. My father had gone completely red in the face, staring at Lindsay like he'd never seen her before. Turn it off! Turn it off right now! Lindsay was screaming, her perfect updo coming loose, mascara starting to run. Marcus had let go of her arm. He was backing away, slowly, like she was radioactive. Lindsay, he said quietly, dangerously quiet. Tell me this isn't real. Marcus, baby, please, she edited those videos. She's lying. She's always been jealous of me. Those are your words, Marcus said. Your voice. Your face. Rachel had gone pale. Jessica and Kayla were whispering frantically to each other. The other bridesmaids looked like they wanted to disappear into the floor. My Aunt Barbara, who'd never liked Lindsay, actually started clapping, slowly, then faster. Then others joined in. Not everyone. Not even most people. But enough. Enough that Lindsay heard it. Enough that she understood. The screen went black. My recorded message had one final line. By the way, Lindsay, I'm not paying you a single cent. Consider this my wedding gift. The truth. The lights came back on fully. Every eye in that room turned to find me at table 9. I stood up slowly, smoothing down my cheap dress, and walked toward the exit. Not running. Not hiding. Walking with my head high and my shoulders back. Emma! Lindsay's shriek could have shattered the crystal. You ruined my wedding. You ruined everything. I stopped. Turned back. Looked at my sister. Really looked at her. For maybe the first time in years. She was a mess. Her perfect makeup streaked with tears. Her dress somehow looking less pristine. her mask finally completely shattered. "No, Lindsay," I said clearly, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I just showed everyone who you really are. You ruined your own wedding the moment you decided to treat me like garbage. You're nothing. You've always been nothing. A failure. A broke. Pathetic." "Emma," a voice interrupted. Male, confident, coming from the entrance. Everyone turned. Standing in the doorway was a man in an immaculate charcoal suit. Tall, probably early 30s, with the kind of presence that made people unconsciously straighten up. I recognized him immediately, even though we'd only spoken on the phone until 2 hours ago. He smiled at me. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was murder." Lindsay's face went from red to white. "Who the hell are you?" He walked toward me, ignoring her completely, and extended his hand. "Daniel Rothschild. Emma's date." The room fell silent again, because everyone at that wedding knew exactly who Daniel Rothschild was. And my sister's perfect day? It was about to get so much worse. Daniel Rothschild wasn't just anyone. He was the Daniel Rothschild, the tech entrepreneur who'd sold his startup for $40 million at 29. The one who'd been featured in Forbes, TechCrunch, and every business magazine that mattered. And he was standing in my sister's wedding reception, calling himself my date. Lindsay's mouth opened and closed like a fish. That's not possible. Emma doesn't know people like me?" Daniel smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Actually, Emma and I went to college together. We were in the same computer science program before I dropped out to start my first company." This was technically true. We'd shared exactly one class freshman year. I'd helped him debug code for a project once. He'd bought me coffee and said, "I owe you one." I'd called in that favor this morning. "Emma reached out to me a few weeks ago," Daniel continued, his voice carrying across the silent room. "Told me about a business opportunity, an app concept she's been developing. Brilliant stuff, actually. Revolutionary approach to micro-investing for low-income communities." I'd pitched him the idea yesterday. He'd loved it. Enough to show up here. Enough to play along. "We've been in talks about a potential partnership," he said, looking at me with what appeared to be genuine respect. "I'm considering investing $250,000 in seed funding." You could have heard a pin drop. My mother's hand flew to her chest. My father blinked rapidly, processing. Lindsay looked like she might vomit. Marcus was staring at me like I'd just materialized from another dimension. "Wait," Rachel said from the head table. "Emma, you're developing an app?" "For the past 8 months," I said calmly. "Nights and weekends. Between my retail shifts that Lindsay loves to mock." Daniel moved closer, standing beside me in a way that looked natural, protective. "Emma's one of the most talented developers I've encountered in years. Self-taught, incredibly driven, the kind of person who actually changes industries." He turned to face Lindsay directly. "So when she told me her own sister was extorting her for $2,000 and humiliating her at a wedding, I thought I should see this for myself." "I wasn't extorting," Lindsay started. "You itemized charges for events she wasn't invited to," Daniel said, his voice sharp as a blade. "You returned merchandise purchased on her credit card and kept the cash. You deliberately placed financial burdens on someone making a fraction of your household income. In business, we call that fraud." Marcus took another step back from Lindsay. "You told me Emma refused to help with anything. You said she was being selfish. She is selfish. Look what she just did. She ruined our wedding." "No," my mother said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. Mom's face was pale, her eyes wet. "Lindsay, what have you done?" "Mom, you can't actually believe I heard you. In those videos, those things you said about your sister," Mom's voice broke, "about my daughter. How could you?" My father stood up, his chair scraping loudly. "Lindsay, is it true? The charges? The dress?" Lindsay's perfect facade was crumbling in real time. Mascara rivers, red splotches, trembling hands. She deserved it. She's always been the victim. Always struggling. Always making us look bad. Making us look bad? My father's voice boomed across the reception hall. I'd never heard him yell like that. You've been stealing from your sister and you think she makes us look bad? I wasn't stealing. She owed me. For years of being embarrassing. The room had divided into clear camps now. Some people looked horrified at Lindsay. Others looked uncomfortable, like they wanted to leave. A few were filming on their phones. The wedding photographer had stopped working entirely. Daniel leaned closer to me, his voice low enough that only I could hear. You doing okay? Better than okay, I whispered back. He smiled. Good, because I actually do want to talk about that app. The pitch you sent was legitimately impressive. My heart skipped. Wait, really? Really? But right now... He raised his voice again, addressing the room. I think we should discuss the matter of the $2,000 Lindsay claims Emma owes her. There's nothing to discuss, Lindsay shrieked. She owes me. I have documentation. Documentation of fraudulent charges, Daniel corrected. Which, by the way, I've already forwarded to my legal team. They're very interested in the pattern of financial abuse. Lindsay went white. Financial abuse? You can't, that's not... It absolutely is, Daniel said. And if you pursue Emma for any money, I'll make sure my lawyers bury you in paperwork for the next 5 years. Pro bono! Marcus finally spoke up. Lindsay, is any of this true? Any of it? She turned to him, desperation replacing rage. Marcus, honey, you have to understand. Emma's always been... I asked you a yes or no question. The silence stretched like taffy. Yes, Lindsay finally whispered. But she... Get away from me. Marcus's voice was ice. I need to think. Marcus, please. Don't let her ruin this. It's our wedding day. You ruined it, Marcus said. Whatever this is, whoever you are right now, this isn't the woman I thought I married. He walked away from the head table. Just walked away, leaving Lindsay standing there alone in her designer dress, surrounded by 300 witnesses to her destruction. My Aunt Barbara started clapping again. This time, more people joined. Lindsay's face twisted into something ugly. She pointed at me with a shaking finger. You think you've won? You think bringing some rich guy here changes anything? You're still nothing, Emma. You'll always be nothing! I met her eyes calmly. Maybe, but at least I'm not you. Then I took Daniel's offered arm and walked toward the exit. Behind us, the reception dissolved into chaos. Voices rising, arguments starting. Lindsay screaming for everyone to stop, to stay, to pretend this wasn't happening. But it was happening, and I wasn't done yet. Daniel and I made it to the marble lobby before my legs started shaking. Hey, hey, he said gently, guiding me to a velvet bench near the entrance. Sit down, breathe. I sat. Tried to breathe. My hands were trembling so badly I had to clasp them together. I can't believe I just did that, I whispered. You were incredible in there, Daniel said, sitting beside me. Seriously, that was the most epic takedown I've ever witnessed, and I've been in Silicon Valley boardrooms. She's going to kill me. She's going to try to pretend this never happened, he corrected. That's what people like her do. But Emma, everyone saw. Everyone knows now. The doors burst open behind us. My mother rushed out, my father close behind. Emma, Mom's voice cracked. She ran to me, pulled me into a hug so tight I could barely breathe. Baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, I stiffened. Couldn't help it. Mrs. Chen, Daniel said politely, standing. I'll give you some space. He moved away, pulling out his phone, giving us privacy while staying close enough to intervene if needed. Mom pulled back, holding my face in her hands. Her makeup was ruined. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say something? I tried, I said quietly. So many times. But you always said, that's just how Lindsay is. She doesn't mean it. Be the bigger person. My father sank onto the bench beside me. He looked older suddenly, tired. Emma, the things she said about you in those videos, has she always talked about you like that? Yes. The word hung there. Simple. Devastating. Oh God, Mom whispered. I thought if I just kept trying, if I was good enough, helpful enough, quiet enough, maybe she'd... I trailed off. but she never did. She just kept taking. And you both kept asking me to give. Dad put his head in his hands. We failed you. David, Mom started. No, Christine, we did. We saw what was happening and we told Emma to tolerate it. We enabled Lindsay because it was easier than confronting her. He looked up at me, eyes red. I'm ashamed of myself. I didn't know what to say to that. The app Daniel mentioned, Mom said. Is that real? Yes, I've been working on it since last year. Teaching myself advanced coding. Building a prototype. I was going to tell you both when I had something concrete to show. Why didn't you? Mom stopped herself. Never mind. I know why. Because they would have told Lindsay, and Lindsay would have found some way to diminish it, mock it, or take credit for it. The doors opened again. This time it was Marcus. He looked shell-shocked. Emma, he said. Can we talk? Daniel immediately moved closer. She doesn't owe you anything, man? I know. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. I need to understand what just happened, please. I nodded. Daniel gave Marcus a warning look but stepped back. Marcus sat on the bench across from us. How long has Lindsay been like this? Always, I said. Or at least as long as I can remember. It got worse after college, after she got the corporate job and started making real money. She told me you two were close, that you were just going through a rough patch financially and it made you resentful. She lied to you about a lot of things, apparently. Marcus laughed bitterly. Yeah, I'm getting that now. He looked at my parents. Did you know? About how she treated Emma? My mother flinched. We knew they had issues. Sibling rivalry. But we didn't realize the extent. You knew, I said quietly. Mom, you knew. You just didn't want to deal with it. She started crying. Real ugly crying. My father put his arm around her. I'm calling off the rest of the reception, Marcus said. I told the venue coordinator to wrap it up. Send everyone home. Marcus, you don't have to, my father started. Yes, I do. I married someone I don't actually know. I need time to figure out what that means. He looked at me. The $2,000 she tried to charge you, I'll pay it back. Every cent she took from you. I don't want your money. It's not about what you want, he said, then softened his voice. Sorry, I just mean she defrauded you, using wedding expenses as cover. That's on both of us. Let me make it right. Daniel spoke up from behind me. Actually, I'd recommend Emma file a police report. This is credit card fraud. Identity theft if Lindsay used Emma's card without permission. Marcus's eyes widened. Police? She committed crimes, Daniel said simply. Multiple crimes. Why should Emma let that go? Because she's my sister, I said quietly. Everyone looked at me. Because despite everything, despite all of it, she's still my sister. And pressing charges would destroy her life completely. She tried to destroy yours, Daniel pointed out. I know, but I'm not her. The lobby doors exploded open with a crash. Lindsay stood there, still in her wedding dress, mascara everywhere, hair a disaster. She looked feral. You! She screamed, pointing at me. You destroyed everything! Security was already moving toward her. Daniel stepped in front of me instinctively. Ma'am, you need to calm down, one of the security guards said. She ruined my wedding. My marriage, my life. Lindsay was sobbing and screaming simultaneously. I hate you, Emma. I hate you. You jealous, pathetic. Lindsay, stop, Marcus said, standing. Just stop. She turned on him. This is your fault, too. You're supposed to be on my side. You're my husband. Am I? Marcus asked quietly. Because right now, I don't even know who I married. Lindsay crumpled. Actually fell to her knees on the marble floor, her dress pooling around her. Please, please, everyone. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I was just, please. Nobody moved to help her. You have two choices, I said, standing up. My voice was steady now, strong. You can accept what happened here today. Apologize. Actually apologize. And maybe someday we can figure out how to be in the same room again. Or, Lindsay whispered, or you can keep being who you are. And I'll do what Daniel suggested. I'll press charges. I'll sue you. And I'll make sure everyone knows exactly who Lindsay Chen really is. My sister looked up at me with pure hatred. You wouldn't dare. I pulled out my phone, showed her the screen, a draft email to the local news, to social media, to every contact I had. Subject line: when your sister commits fraud at her own wedding. Try me. Lindsay's face went through a dozen emotions. Then she started laughing. Horrible, broken laughter that echoed off the marble walls. You've changed, she said. The old Emma would never. The old Emma is dead, I said. You killed her. Congratulations. The security guards escorted Lindsay to a side room. She went quietly, which was somehow worse than the screaming. Like something inside her had just broken. Marcus followed without a word. The doors closed behind them. My parents stood there looking lost. My mother reached for me. Emma, sweetheart. I need some air, I said, pulling away gently. I need a minute. I walked outside. The evening had turned cool, the sky bruised purple and orange. The mansion's gardens stretched out before me, perfectly manicured, ridiculously expensive. Daniel followed me out. Didn't say anything, just stood there giving me space while staying close. Thank you, I said finally. For coming. For playing along. For all of it. I meant what I said in there. About the app. He pulled out his phone, opened something, showed me. I had my team look at your pitch deck during the ceremony. They're impressed. Really impressed. I stared at the screen. Comments from his development team. Positive comments. Excited comments. This is real? My voice came out small. As real as it gets. Emma, you built something legitimately innovative on nights and weekends while working retail and dealing with your sister's abuse. Imagine what you could do with actual resources. Actual support. I don't know what to say. Say you'll take a meeting, properly, next week. My office in the city, he smiled. And maybe this time I'll let you buy the coffee. You know, for old time's sake? I laughed. Actually laughed. It felt strange after everything. You remember that? You saved my grade in Computer Science 101. I told you I owed you one. He pocketed his phone. I pay my debts. The doors opened behind us. Rachel emerged, still in her bridesmaid dress, looking uncertain. Emma, she called. Can we talk? Daniel raised an eyebrow at me. I nodded. He squeezed my shoulder once and headed back inside. Rachel approached slowly like I might bolt. I'm sorry. For which part? She flinched. All of it. Every part. I knew how Lindsay talked about you. I knew what she was doing with the expenses. I never said anything. No, you didn't. I was scared, Rachel said quietly. Lindsay's been my best friend since high school. When she gets mad, she cuts people off completely. I've seen her do it. I didn't want to be next. So you let her do it to me instead? Yes. Rachel's voice broke. And I hate myself for it. Watching those videos in there, hearing her say those things, seeing what she did to you. Emma, I'm so sorry. I studied her, really looked at her. Rachel had always been beautiful, polished, put together. Right now she looked smaller, human. You knew about the dress, I said. The one she returned, Rachel nodded. I was with her. I told her not to do it. She said you'd never find out. What else? What? What else did you know about? Rachel closed her eyes. The bachelorette party. She planned the whole trip knowing you couldn't afford it. Then she charged you anyway because she said you should have tried harder. The bridal shower. She knew you were working double shifts to pay for it. She thought it was funny. My stomach turned. Funny. She said... Rachel stopped, swallowed hard. She said you needed to learn your place. That you'd been living in her shadow your whole life and needed to accept it. And you stayed friends with her. I know. I know. There's no excuse. Rachel wiped her eyes. For what it's worth, Marcus is talking about an annulment. A lot of people left already. Her reputation is destroyed. The videos are already on social media. I didn't post them. Someone did. They're everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Bridezilla exposed by sister is trending. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I just felt tired. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because you deserve to know. And because… Rachel hesitated. Because I'm done. With Lindsay. With being the kind of person who watches someone get hurt and does nothing. I'm done. Good for you. She looked at me hopefully. Maybe someday we could… No, I said firmly. Rachel, I appreciate the apology. Really. But we're not going to be friends. You made your choice every day for years. That doesn't just go away. Her face fell. I understand. She turned to leave, then stopped. The thing is, Emma, I think Lindsay was always jealous of you. Of me? That's insane. She had everything. She had things. Money, status, the perfect image. Rachel looked back at me. But you had something she never could fake. You're genuinely kind. People actually like you, not your Instagram feed. And deep down, I think she knew that. I think she's known it her whole life. Rachel walked away before I could respond. I stood there in the garden, processing, when my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Marcus. Lindsay's having a breakdown. Your parents are with her? Thought you should know. Then another text. Also, I'm sorry. For not seeing it. For not protecting you like family should. Before I could respond, another message came through. This one from Jessica, another bridesmaid. Emma, I'm so sorry. I was horrible to you. Lindsay told us you were jealous and trying to sabotage her wedding. We believed her. We shouldn't have. Then Kayla. What Lindsay did was unforgivable. I'm ashamed I went along with it. My phone kept buzzing. Messages from people at the wedding, cousins, family friends, even a few of Lindsay's friends I'd never spoken to. Everyone suddenly wanted to apologize, to explain, to distance themselves from Lindsay's sinking ship. I turned my phone off. Daniel found me 20 minutes later, still standing in the garden. Your parents are looking for you, he said. Lindsay's being taken to the hospital. Panic attack! Is she okay? Physically, yes. Emotionally? He shrugged. That's above my pay grade. I should feel bad, I said. I should feel guilty. But I don't. Does that make me a terrible person? It makes you human. Daniel moved to stand beside me, both of us looking out at the gardens. She spent years tearing you down. You spent one night telling the truth. Those aren't equivalent. My mother thinks I went too far. Did she say that? She didn't have to. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he said, My sister used to bully me. Did I ever tell you that? I looked at him, surprised. No. Yeah, when we were kids. She was older, prettier, more popular. Made my life hell. Told me I was worthless. That I'd never amount to anything. He smiled sadly. When my company sold for $40 million, you know what she did? What? She called to congratulate me. Then asked for money. Said I owed her for toughening me up as a kid. Said her bullying had made me successful. That's insane. That's family sometimes. The people who hurt us most are often the ones who think they're entitled to. He looked at me directly. You don't owe Lindsay forgiveness. You don't owe her anything. Not guilt, not mercy, not a second chance. Those are gifts you can choose to give. But only if you want to. What if I don't know what I want? The question came out louder than I intended. Rawer. Then you figure it out. On your own timeline, without anyone pressuring you. Daniel's voice was gentle. But Emma, whatever you decide, make sure it's for you. Not for your parents. Not to keep the peace. Not because it's what everyone expects. For you. My phone buzzed again. I'd turned it back on without thinking. A text from my father. Emma, please come back inside. Lindsay wants to talk to you. I stared at the message. Lindsay wanted to talk. After everything. After the humiliation, the exposure, the destruction of her perfect day. She wanted to talk. And somehow, I knew this conversation would change everything. They had Lindsay in one of the mansion's private rooms. The kind reserved for brides to rest between ceremony and reception. Ironic. I stood outside the door for a full minute before opening it. My parents were inside. My mother sat beside Lindsay on a cream-colored sofa. My father stood by the window, arms crossed, face unreadable. Lindsay looked destroyed. Her wedding dress was wrinkled and stained with makeup. Her hair hung in messy chunks around her face. Her eyes were red and swollen. She looked up when I entered. For a second, just a second, I saw something in her expression, something that might have been remorse. Then it hardened. "Close the door," she said. Her voice was hoarse from screaming. I closed it, stayed standing, kept my distance. "Lindsay wants to apologize," my mother said quickly. Too quickly, like she was desperate to script this conversation. "Does she?" I looked at Lindsay. "Or do you want her to apologize?" My sister's jaw tightened. "I'm sorry you felt hurt by today." "That's not an apology," I said flatly. "That's you apologizing for my feelings, not your actions." "Emma, please," Mom begged. "She's trying. Is she?" I turned to my mother. "Mom, she just said she's sorry I felt hurt." "Not that she hurt me. Not that what she did was wrong. She's sorry I had feelings about it." My father finally spoke. "Lindsay, real apology. Now." Lindsay's face twisted. "You're all acting like I'm some monster." "I made mistakes. I was stressed. Planning a wedding is—" "Stop," I said. "Just stop. You didn't make mistakes. You deliberately, systematically abused me for years. You stole from me. You humiliated me. You told everyone I was worthless. That wasn't stress. That was who you are. I'm your sister. Then act like it." My voice rose. "Sisters don't do what you did. Sisters don't treat each other like garbage and then demand loyalty." Lindsay stood up, swaying slightly. "You humiliated me in front of 300 people. You destroyed my marriage. I told the truth. That's all I did. I showed everyone who you really are. If that destroyed your marriage, that's on you. You're just jealous." The words exploded out of her. "You've always been jealous. Jealous that I'm successful, that I'm beautiful, that I have everything you'll never— I don't want your life!" I shouted back. "I never did. I just wanted a sister who didn't treat me like I was nothing." The room fell silent except for Lindsay's ragged breathing. "You want to know the truth?" I said, quieter now. "The real truth? I spent my entire life trying to earn your love, your respect. I worked myself to exhaustion trying to be good enough for you. And it was never enough. It was never going to be enough. Because the problem wasn't me, Lindsay. It was you." "Emma," my mother started. "No, Mom, let me finish." I looked at my parents. "You both let this happen. You saw her treat me like dirt, and you told me to be understanding, to be the bigger person, to forgive and forget, every single time." "We thought it would get better," Dad said quietly. "We thought if we didn't make a big deal out of it, it got worse. It got so much worse. And I was alone in it." My voice cracked. "Do you know what that feels like? To have your own family watch you drown and tell you to swim harder?" My mother was crying again. "We didn't know it was that bad. You didn't want to know. There's a difference." Lindsay sank back onto the sofa. "So what now?" "You've won. You've destroyed me. What else do you want?" "I want you to actually be sorry," I said. "Not sorry you got caught. Not sorry your wedding was ruined. Sorry for what you did to me. For years of cruelty. For making me feel worthless. For stealing from me. For lying about me. For all of it." She looked up at me. Really looked at me. And for the first time, maybe ever, I saw something break in her eyes. "I can't," she whispered. "Can't what?" "I can't apologize like you want me to. Because if I admit that I was wrong, that I was cruel, that I was—" Her voice broke. "That I was a terrible sister, then I have to face what that makes me. And I can't. I can't look at that person in the mirror." The honesty of it startled me. "So you'd rather blame me?" I asked. "Yes," she laughed bitterly. "Yes, because that's easier. Because if it's your fault for being too sensitive, too poor, too jealous, then I don't have to be the villain." "But you are the villain, Lindsay. In my story, you absolutely are." She flinched like I'd slapped her. My father moved closer. "Girls, this family is broken right now. But it doesn't have to stay broken. Lindsay, if you would just—" "What, Dad? Just magically become a different person?" Lindsay stood again, wobbly but determined. "Emma wants me to grovel. To admit I'm some kind of sociopath. But I'm not. I'm just human?" I offered. Flawed? An asshole? I was going to say complicated. No, Lindsay. You're not complicated. You're just mean. And you've been getting away with it your whole life because you're pretty and successful, and everyone's afraid of you. Like you weren't afraid? She smiled cruelly. You've been terrified of me since we were kids. I was. Past tense. I met her eyes steadily. I'm not anymore. That's what today was about. Not revenge, liberation. Liberation? Lindsay's voice went shrill. You call destroying my wedding liberation? I call finally standing up for myself liberation. What happened to your wedding was just a consequence. My mother stood up between us. Please, both of you. This is fixable. Families fight. Families hurt each other. But families also forgive. Some things don't deserve forgiveness, Mom. She's your sister, Emma. And I'm hers. But she never treated me like it. Lindsay wrapped her arms around herself. I can't do this. I need Marcus. Where's Marcus? He's thinking, Dad said. About whether he wants to stay married to you. Lindsay's face crumbled again. This is all her fault. Everything was perfect until I what? Told the truth? Lindsay, your marriage is falling apart because your husband found out who you really are. That's not on me. You turned him against me. No, I showed him reality. What he does with that information is up to him. There was a knock on the door. Marcus opened it without waiting for an answer. He looked between all of us, his expression carefully neutral. The venue wants to know about tomorrow's brunch, he said. The post-wedding gathering. Cancel it, Lindsay said immediately. Actually, Marcus said slowly, I think we should keep it. Everyone stared at him. I think we should keep it, he repeated. And I think we should use it to have an honest conversation. All of us. About what happens next. Marcus, I can't face those people again. Lindsay started. Then don't, but I'm going. And I'm inviting Emma. He looked at me. If you want to come? I didn't sleep that night. I stayed at Daniel's hotel. He'd insisted, said he had a 2-bedroom suite and I shouldn't be alone. We'd ordered room service, sat on opposite couches, and he'd let me talk for 3 hours straight without interrupting once. You don't have to go tomorrow, he said around midnight. The brunch, Marcus's honest conversation, all of it. You don't owe anyone anything. I know. I stared at my phone. 17 missed calls from my mother. 8 from my father. 43 text messages. I hadn't opened any of them. But I think I need to. Why? Because if I don't, it'll never be finished. This thing with Lindsay, with my parents, with all of it, it'll just hang there forever, unresolved. Daniel nodded slowly. Just promise me something. Whatever happens tomorrow, whatever they say, you'll remember that you're not the villain here. No matter how they try to spin it. They're going to try to spin it, aren't they? Families always do. It's easier to blame the person who broke the silence than the person who created the problem. He was right. I knew he was right. The next morning, I put on jeans and a simple white blouse. No fancy dress. No makeup beyond mascara. If they wanted honest conversation, they'd get honest me. Daniel drove me to the venue. The mansion looked different in daylight. Less magical, more like what it was. An expensive backdrop for expensive people. The brunch was set up in the conservatory. Glass walls, morning light, tables arranged in a casual circle. Maybe 30 people had shown up. Family mostly, a few close friends. Marcus was there, still in yesterday's dress shirt but wrinkled now. Lindsay sat beside him, but they weren't touching. My parents were at a separate table. Rachel was in the corner, looking miserable. Everyone went quiet when I walked in. Emma, Marcus said, standing. Thank you for coming. I'm not sure why I did. Because you deserve to be heard. Properly, without interruption. He gestured to an empty chair. Please sit, I sat. Daniel had offered to come in with me, but I'd told him to wait in the car. This was something I needed to do alone. Marcus remained standing. I asked everyone here today because I need to understand what happened yesterday. Really understand it. And I figured the only way to do that was to have everyone in the same room being honest. Marcus, is this really necessary? My mother asked quietly. Yes, Christine. It is. He looked around the room. Yesterday, I married a woman I thought I knew. Within hours, I learned that I was wrong. About a lot of things. I need to know which parts were real and which parts were performance. Lindsay's hands were shaking. Marcus, please. Lindsay, I need you to be quiet right now. For once, just listen. His voice wasn't cruel, just tired. Emma, tell me what happened. All of it. Start from the beginning. I looked around the room. All these eyes on me. All these people who'd watched me be humiliated and said nothing. How far back should I go? I asked. To when we were kids and Lindsay told everyone at school I wet the bed? Or middle school when she started dating the boy I liked just to prove she could? Or high school when she told college recruiters I was emotionally unstable? My mother gasped. Emma, she never... She did, Mom. I found the emails years later. She sent messages to 3 schools I'd applied to saying I had severe mental health issues and they should reconsider my applications. Lindsay's face went white. I didn't get into any of them, I continued. I thought it was my fault. That I wasn't good enough. I didn't know until I was 22 and found the emails on our shared family computer. Lindsay? Dad's voice was dangerous. Is this true? She didn't answer. It's true, isn't it? My father stood up, his chair scraping loudly. You sabotaged your sister's education? She was applying to the same schools as me. Lindsay burst out. I worked so hard to be the best. I couldn't have her following me around, being compared to me, making me look bad. The room erupted. People talking over each other. My mother crying. My father shouting. Marcus raised his hand. Quiet, everyone. Quiet. They listened to him. Continue, Emma, he said. So I did. I told them everything. Every small cruelty. Every casual insult. Every time Lindsay had borrowed money and never paid it back. Every time she'd made me feel small and worthless and less than. I told them about the credit cards she'd opened in my name when I was 19. About the time she'd shown up at my first job out of college and told my boss I was unreliable. About the boyfriend she'd slept with just because she could. She told me once, I said, my voice steady despite the tears on my face, that her greatest achievement was making sure I'd never be as successful as her. She said it was her life's work to keep me in my place. That's not... I didn't mean... Lindsay stammered. You said it at your 30th birthday party. I was 22. You were drunk. You thought I couldn't hear you talking to your friends in the bathroom. I looked at her directly. But I did hear. I heard everything. Marcus sat down slowly. My God, Lindsay, why? Because she was always there. Lindsay exploded. Always existing. Always being sweet and nice and making me look bad. Do you know what it's like to have a younger sister who everyone naturally likes? Who doesn't have to try? I had to work for everything. My looks, my career, my social status. And Emma just existed and people loved her. So you decided to destroy me, I said quietly. I decided to survive. Lindsay was full-on crying now. In this family, there's only room for one successful daughter. One daughter who matters. I had to make sure it was me. No one ever said that, my father said. We never compared you girls. You didn't have to. I saw it, the way people talked about Emma. She's so kind. She's so genuine. She's so resilient. Meanwhile, I was ambitious and driven and a force to be reckoned with. Those aren't compliments. Dad, those are warnings. So you tried to break her, Marcus said, for years, systematically. I tried to protect myself. By destroying your sister? My father's voice boomed through the conservatory. Lindsay, do you hear yourself? You sound like a sociopath? I offered. Because that's what she is, Dad. Or at least that's how she's acted. I'm not a sociopath, Lindsay whispered. I'm just scared. Of what? I asked. Of being nothing. Of being invisible. Of being the one who doesn't matter. She looked at me with something like desperation. You don't understand. You've never understood. Being the older sister means you have to be perfect. You have to set the standard. And if the younger sister is better than you, then what are you? Human, I said. You're human, flawed and real and imperfect, like the rest of us. I can't be imperfect. The words tore out of her. If I'm imperfect, then I'm worthless. If I'm not the best, then I'm nothing. The conservatory fell silent. Marcus looked at Lindsay like he was seeing a stranger. Who taught you that? Everyone, society, the world, you. She laughed bitterly. You fell in love with successful, polished, perfect Lindsay. Would you have looked at me twice if I was just ordinary? He didn't answer. Couldn't answer. My mother stood up. Lindsay Marie Chen, I did not raise you to think your worth was tied to being better than your sister. Didn't you? Lindsay's voice was sharp. Every time Emma struggled, what did you say? Why can't you be more like Lindsay? Every time I succeeded, what did you do? You celebrated. Loudly. But when Emma succeeded, that's nice, dear. I blinked. Mom did do that. My mother's face crumpled. I never meant. I was trying to motivate you, Emma. I wanted you to aim higher. By making me feel like nothing I did was ever good enough? By showing you what success looked like? No, Mom. By showing me that I'd never measure up to Lindsay. That I'd always be the lesser daughter. My father's voice cut through the tension. Christine, is that true? Did you treat Emma differently? My mother sank back into her chair. Her hands were trembling. I didn't mean to. I swear I didn't mean to. Lindsay was always so self-sufficient. So confident. Emma needed more encouragement, more pushing, more love. I asked quietly. No. Emma, no, I love you both equally. But you didn't show it equally. The words came out calmer than I felt. Lindsay got praise for everything. I got criticism disguised as motivation. Lindsay got celebrated. I got corrected. My father put his head in his hands. We failed both of you. How did you fail me? Lindsay snapped. I got everything I needed. You got pressure, Dad said, looking up. We put so much pressure on you to be perfect that you thought love was conditional, that you had to earn it by being better than everyone else, including your sister. It was conditional, Lindsay shouted. Every time I brought home an A-, you asked why it wasn't an A+. Every time I won second place, you asked what happened to first. I learned early that love meant being the best. And I learned that love meant being invisible, I added. Because any time I tried to shine, Lindsay would sabotage me. And you'd tell me to be understanding, that she was under so much pressure, that I should be the bigger person. My mother was sobbing now, full body-shaking sobs. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Both of you. We destroyed you both. Rachel spoke up from the corner. I think we all played a part in this. Everyone here. She looked around the room. We all watched Lindsay treat Emma terribly. Some of us participated. None of us stopped it. We're all responsible. My Aunt Barbara nodded. She's right, I saw it. At family dinners, holidays, birthdays, Lindsay would make little comments about Emma. We'd all laugh or ignore it. We enabled this. Because Lindsay was successful, one of my uncles added. And success gets a pass. We forgave her cruelty because she was accomplished. Like being good at your career makes up for being a terrible person. I'm not a terrible person, Lindsay said weakly. No, Marcus said. But you've done terrible things, and you need to own that. Lindsay looked at him. Are you leaving me? I don't know yet. I need time. I need to figure out if the woman I fell in love with was real or just a carefully constructed lie. She was real. Marcus, please, I love you. You love what I represent, he corrected. The successful husband. The perfect wedding. The Instagram-worthy marriage. But do you love me? The actual person? I'm not sure you know how to love anyone except yourself. Lindsay flinched like he'd struck her. That's not fair, she whispered. Isn't it? Marcus stood up. Lindsay, in the year we've been together, how many times have you asked about my day? My feelings? My dreams that didn't involve our wedding? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I don't, exactly. You don't. He looked at me. Emma, in the 10 hours I've known about the real situation, you've asked me 3 times if I was okay. 3 times. You barely know me, and you've shown more genuine concern than my wife has in 12 months. That's because Emma's a saint, Lindsay said bitterly. Perfect, selfless Emma who everyone loves. No, I said firmly. I'm not a saint. I'm not perfect. I'm just someone who knows what it feels like to be treated like I don't matter. And I won't do that to other people. Congratulations! Lindsay exploded. You win! You're the better person. The better daughter. The better human being. Is that what you want to hear? I want to hear that you're sorry. Actually sorry. Not for getting caught. Not for the consequences. Sorry for hurting me. For years of deliberate, calculated cruelty. Lindsay's face went through a dozen emotions. Then something broke. Something fundamental. I can't, she whispered. Emma, I can't. Because if I say I'm sorry for hurting you, I have to admit that I enjoyed it. And I did. God help me, I did. She was crying now, makeup running again. Every time I made you feel small, I felt bigger. Every time I made you cry, I felt powerful. Every time I took something from you, I felt like I was winning. The silence in the conservatory was absolute. There it is, I said quietly. The truth. I'm broken, Lindsay continued, her voice cracking. Something inside me is broken and I don't know how to fix it. I see good things happening to other people and I want to destroy them. Especially you. Especially my own sister. My mother made a sound like a wounded animal. You need help, Marcus said. Professional help. Serious help. I know, Lindsay screamed. Don't you think I know that? Don't you think I've known for years that something was wrong with me? But I couldn't admit it. Because admitting you're broken means admitting you're weak. And I can't be weak. I have to be perfect. No one's perfect, Lindsay, I said. And pretending to be has destroyed your life. She looked at me with something like hatred mixed with desperation. What do you want from me, Emma? What will it take for you to forgive me? I don't know if I can forgive you. Then what was the point of yesterday? Of destroying everything? If not for forgiveness? Justice, I said simply. And freedom. I needed everyone to see who you really are. I needed to stop carrying your secrets. I needed to stop protecting you from consequences. So you destroyed my wedding, my marriage, my reputation. You did that yourself. I just held up a mirror. Lindsay stood up abruptly, her chair falling backward. I can't do this. I can't sit here and be judged by everyone. By you, by... She looked around wildly. I need air. She ran, literally ran out of the conservatory, her footsteps echoing on the marble. Marcus didn't follow her. Nobody did. My mother started to stand, but my father held her back. Let her go, Christine. She needs to face this alone. She's our daughter. And so is Emma, who we've let down for 24 years. Dad looked at me. Emma, I know this doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. Deeply, profoundly sorry. Your mother and I created this situation. We raised one daughter to think love was conditional and another to think she was invisible. That's on us. Yes, I said. It is. Can you forgive us? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe eventually, but right now I'm just angry. At all of you? For watching. For enabling. For making excuses. That's fair, Dad said. Rachel stood up. Emma, what happens now? With Lindsay? With your family? I don't know. That's up to them. And up to her. I stood up. But I'm done being the family punching bag. I'm done making myself smaller so Lindsay can feel bigger. I'm done sacrificing my peace for everyone else's comfort. What does that mean? Mom asked fearfully. It means I'm setting boundaries. Real ones. It means Lindsay doesn't get access to my life until she gets serious help. It means you two need to figure out how to treat both your daughters equally. It means I'm putting myself first for once. That sounds lonely, my aunt said softly. Maybe, but loneliness is better than abuse dressed up as family. Marcus walked over to me, extended his hand. Thank you. For yesterday. For today. For showing me who I married before it was too late. I shook his hand. What will you do? Get an annulment, move on. Find someone who actually knows how to love another person. He smiled sadly. Maybe take some time to figure out why I was attracted to someone so broken in the first place. That's wise. Your app, he said. Daniel mentioned you're looking for investors. I'd like to hear the pitch, properly, when this is all settled. Seriously? Seriously. I invest in people, Emma, and you? You're the kind of person worth investing in. He left. Most of the guests filtered out after him, some stopping to apologize to me, others avoiding eye contact entirely. Eventually, it was just me and my parents in the conservatory. "What now, Emma?" Mom asked. "What happens to this family?" I looked at them both. These imperfect people who'd loved me imperfectly and hurt me deeply. "Now," I said, "you decide what kind of parents you want to be. And I'll decide if that's enough." 6 months later, I stood in front of a floor-to-ceiling window in Daniel's downtown office, looking out at the city below. "Nervous?" he asked, coming to stand beside me. "Terrified," I admitted. "What if nobody downloads it? What if it crashes? What if it changes thousands of lives?" Daniel interrupted. "Emma, we've tested this thing to death. The beta users love it. The press is already interested. You've built something incredible." My app, MoneyRoute, was launching in 3 hours, a micro-investing platform designed for low-income communities, with educational components and peer support networks built in. Everything I'd been working on for the past year, now real and tangible and about to exist in the world. Daniel's investment had made it possible. Marcus's additional funding had made it bulletproof. But the idea, the vision, the countless sleepless nights of coding, that was all me. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. "Good luck today, sweetheart. Your mother and I are so proud of you." I smiled. Things with my parents weren't perfect. Probably never would be. But they were trying. Actually trying. We had dinner once a week now. Just the 3 of us. They asked about my life, listened to my answers, treated me like I mattered. It was strange being seen, but I was getting used to it. Another text. This one from Rachel. "Watching the launch stream. You're going to kill it." Rachel and I weren't friends exactly, but we were friendly. She'd gone to therapy after the wedding. Started dealing with her own issues around enabling and people-pleasing. We got coffee sometimes. Talked about growth and change and becoming better humans. No text from Lindsay. There hadn't been any texts from Lindsay in 6 months. After the brunch, she'd checked herself into a psychiatric facility. Intensive therapy for what they diagnosed as narcissistic personality disorder with elements of borderline pathology. She was still there, according to my parents. Making progress, allegedly. She'd written me one letter. 3 months ago. My mother had delivered it with trembling hands. I still hadn't opened it. It sat in my apartment in a drawer waiting. Maybe I'd open it someday. Maybe I wouldn't. That was my choice now. My timeline. My healing. Marcus had gotten his annulment. Last I heard, he was dating a social worker who volunteered at homeless shelters. Someone who actually knew how to care about other people. 5 minutes, Daniel's assistant called from the doorway. Daniel squeezed my shoulder. "You ready to change the world, Emma Chen?" "I'm ready to try." We walked into the conference room where the launch event was set up. Tech journalists, investors, community leaders, all here to see MoneyRoute go live. I'd prepared a speech. Something professional and polished about financial inclusion and economic empowerment. But when I stood at that podium, looking out at all those faces, different words came out. 2 years ago, I said, I was working retail, living paycheck to paycheck, and watching my sister treat me like I was worthless. I believed her. I believed I was nothing. That I'd always be nothing. The room was silent. Then something happened. Something that forced me to make a choice. I could keep accepting the narrative that I was less than. Or I could fight back. I could stand up. I could choose myself. I pulled up a slide. Not graphs or market analysis. A photo. Me in my cheap dress at Lindsay's wedding. The before. This was me 6 months ago, I said. Humiliated, broke, convinced I didn't deserve better. Another slide. Me now, in this office, hair in a messy bun, wearing jeans and a hoodie, surrounded by code on multiple monitors. This is me now. Not perfect, not polished, but free. I clicked to the next slide. The MoneyRoute logo. I built this app because I know what it's like to be overlooked. To be told, you don't matter because you don't have money. To watch opportunities pass you by because you can't afford the entry fee to the game. My voice got stronger. MoneyRoute isn't just an investment app. It's a statement. It says that your financial situation doesn't define your worth. that everyone deserves access to tools that can change their lives. That being poor doesn't mean you're stupid or lazy or less deserving of opportunity. I looked directly at the camera that was live streaming this. This is for everyone who's been told they're not enough. Who's been kept small by people who needed you to stay small so they could feel big. Who's been fighting to survive while the world told them to just try harder. I smiled. You are enough. You always were. And this is my way of proving it. The screen behind me lit up. MoneyRoute went live. Within the first hour, we had 5,000 downloads. By end of day, 50,000. By the end of the week, 200,000 people had joined the platform. The press called it revolutionary. Forbes featured me in their 30 Under 30. TechCrunch called MoneyRoute the app that's democratizing wealth building. But the messages I got from users, those were what mattered. Single mothers who'd never invested before. College students building savings for the first time. Immigrants sending money home while building futures here. People who'd been told they didn't belong in the world of finance, now building wealth on their own terms. 3 months after launch, my mother called. Emma, there's something you should know. Lindsay's out of the facility. She wants to see you. My heart started pounding. What did you tell her? That it's your choice. Always your choice. She can't just demand access to your life anymore. Is she better? I don't know, sweetheart. She says she is. Her doctors say she's made progress. But better is relative. And whether she's better enough for you, that's not my call. I thought about the letter. Still unopened in my drawer. Tell her I'll think about it. That's fair. Mom, thank you. For not pushing. For respecting my boundaries. I'm learning, Mom said softly. Better late than never, right? Right. I hung up. Stared at my phone for a long time. Then I called Daniel. The letter from Lindsay. The one I never opened. Do you think I should read it? Do you want to? I don't know what I want. Then wait. Wait until you do know. The letter's not going anywhere. He was right. The letter could wait. Lindsay could wait. The whole question of forgiveness and reconciliation and family, all of it could wait. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't living on someone else's timeline. I was living on mine. That night, I stood on my apartment balcony looking out at the city lights. My city now, my life, built by me for me on my terms. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from an unknown number. Emma, it's Lindsay. I know I don't have the right to ask anything from you. But if you're ever ready to talk, I'm here. Not because I deserve it, but because you deserve the choice. I'm truly sorry for all of it. I'm working on being someone worthy of your forgiveness, whether you give it or not. Well, I read it 3 times. Then I put my phone down and looked back at the city. Maybe I'd respond. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe Lindsay was genuinely changing. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe my family could heal. Maybe it was too broken. But those were questions for future Emma. Present Emma had an app to run, a company to build, and a life to live. Present Emma had learned the most important lesson of all. You can't control how people treat you. But you can control whether you stay and accept it. I'd stopped staying. I'd stopped accepting. And I'd started living. My sister had tried to keep me in her shadow my entire life. But shadows only exist where there's light. And I was done hiding in the dark. I pulled out my phone one more time. Opened a new note. Started typing. Dear Lindsay, I got your message. I also got your letter, though I haven't opened it yet. Maybe I will someday. Maybe I won't. Here's what I know. Forgiveness isn't something you can demand or earn through therapy and apologies. It's a gift. And right now, I'm not ready to give it. Maybe I never will be. But I can give you something else. The truth. You broke me for years, but you didn't destroy me. You tried to dim my light, but you only taught me how bright I could shine. You wanted me to fail so you could succeed. Instead, we both learned that your success was built on making me small. And that kind of success is worthless. I don't hate you, Lindsay. I pity you. Because while I was building something real, you were building a facade. And when it crumbled, you had nothing left. I hope therapy helps. I hope you become someone who can love without destroying. But I won't be your test case. Not anymore. Maybe someday we can be in the same room without damage. Maybe someday I'll read your letter. But today isn't that day. And I'm okay with that. Be well, Lindsay. But be well somewhere else. Emma. I read it through once. Then I deleted it. Because Lindsay didn't deserve my words anymore. She didn't deserve my energy, my thoughts, my space in my head. She deserved exactly what I was giving her. Nothing. I'd stolen the show at her wedding. But more importantly, I'd reclaimed my own life. And that was the real victory.